Good evening and welcome to Northbeat. I'm Shannon Scott. We begin in the Northwest Territories tonight, where a young Wati mother is dead after contracting double pneumonia. Her common law partner says the infection went untreated despite multiple attempts to get help from the Wati Health Centre. The CBC's Carla Ulrich has the story.
Rachel Simpson was the glue that held her family together, says her common-law boyfriend, Ben Wedson. The two just had a son 5 months ago. The 24-year-old mother complained of chest pains on Friday afternoon, but when they called the health center for treatment, they were told it was probably anxiety.
Right over the phone, they said she's probably just having a panic attack or anxiety or stress related. Yeah, they told her to relax and told her to calm down. So that's what we did. We took their advice.
But Simpson's symptoms only got worse and she was struggling to breathe. On Saturday, her mother took her to the health center, but they just gave her Advil and sleeping pills. By Sunday afternoon, Simpson couldn't get out of bed and had to be taken by ambulance to the health center. She was eventually medevaced to Yellowknife and then Edmonton, where she died. Wedson wants to know why it took so long to be taken seriously.
I believe that if she was diagnosed correctly in Wati, then it could have been prevented. She would still be here. Her death has a big effect on everyone. Everybody loved her.
Chief Alphonse Nitsiza of Wati says he watched Simpson grow up and her death affects everyone. He says he contacted the health authority and was told the family needs to make a formal complaint, something Nitsiza says he will help them with. The Department of Health and Social Services says it can't comment on specific cases, but did say that the Clecho Community Services Agency is committed to providing quality care and is reviewing what happened to understand the situation, address concerns raised, and if found, address any gaps or errors in care. As part of the review, it will determine if an outside investigation is required. Carla Ulrich, CBC News, Yellowknife.
Workers at the Yukon Hospital Corporation have voted in favor of a strike. The union representing the workers says months of failed negotiations have led to this point. Rafsan Farouk Jugal brings us the story.
The Yukon Employees Union and Public Service Alliance of Canada have a strike mandate. Representing over 400 workers in this territory, the union president says he hears the workers loud and clear.
The overwhelming majority of the members voted in favor of a strike mandate, and that covers all three hospitals across the territory, because Yukon Hospital Corporation, of course, includes Whitehorse General, but also Dawson and Watson.
Concerns such as wages not keeping up with inflation and burnout at the workplace have been voiced by hospital workers. The earliest a strike action could take place is March 26, says the union.
They want to be able to be respected for the work that they do. They want to be valued for it appropriately. They want fair compensation. The challenges have only increased.
Lanford says the Yukon Hospital Corporation is looking for parity with wage increases secured for Yukon government employees last year. A spokesperson for the Yukon Hospital Corporation says they want to reach a deal.
I can't speak to the stage that we're at, but we do remain committed to reaching a renewed collective agreement with the YEU and PSAC, so we want to be in good faith and we want to do it at the bargaining table.
Hospital workers have been without a contract since September of 2022. After months of unsuccessful negotiations, the union requested conciliation in November last year.
I absolutely think that there's hope in resolving this. If the will is there and the parties are in agreement, then there could be something signed off soon. Much of this depends on access to funds. So whether or not Yukon Hospital Corporation has direct access or has to go through Yukon government to look at any form of monetary increase for staffing, that's a process that has to take place alongside this bargaining table.
The union says the bargaining team is in conciliation this week. They can be a licensed practitioner nurse, a custodial staff, laboratory technologist, just to name a few. Rafsan Farouk Jugal, CBC News, Whitehorse.
The federal government announced details of its long-awaited national Pharmacare plan today. Phase 1 will cover a number of birth control and diabetes medications for all Canadians. The Liberals and NDP struck a deal on Pharmacare last week. a key condition of the agreement between the parties to ensure the survival of the government. Marina von Stackelberg has the details.
This is how I give myself insulin.
12-year-old Raina Smith needs a digital monitor to watch her blood sugar and a pump to deliver insulin. Thousands of dollars in medical supplies for her type 1 diabetes, paid for through her parents' private health insurance plans for now.
It makes me always worried about in the future because before all these medications were going to get covered, when I become an adult, how am I going to cover this? Do I have to choose a job based on what covers and what benefit cover insulin, cover my pump?
Worries Canada's health minister says she won't have any more. He's now introduced long-awaited Pharmacare legislation. It commits the federal government to foot the bill for diabetes medication and devices, along with contraceptives for everyone. It does not promise full coverage of all drugs.
I think the question that Canadians are going to ask, once they get an opportunity to look at that data, is to say what is the most effective, efficient model to get to full coverage, to make sure that everybody can afford their medication, and that we choose the system that's right for that.
Ottawa will also create a national list of essential drugs that it may eventually cover and develop an agency to bulk purchase medication, all within 1 year of the legislation passing, which it likely will with the support of the NDP, who push the Liberal government to bring in Pharmacare and want to see all necessary medications covered.
It also sets a structure for builds a foundation for further expansion down in the future for governments that want to go there, and of course the New Democrats. If we're government, we would want to go there.
Holland, wary to give a cost estimate for the two types of drugs, was pushed by reporters.
You are the Minister of Health. This is a question you knew you were going to get coming out today.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
So what are we looking at here?
Maybe $1.5 billion. Like, I think it's, the question is it going to be lower than that? Is it going to be a little bit higher?
The health minister says Canadians could start getting their diabetes medication and birth control paid for as early as next year. But to get there, he'll first have to negotiate funding deals with the provinces and territories. So far, Alberta and Quebec have both said they're not interested in the plan. Marina von Stackelberg, CBC News, Ottawa.
New research is suggesting that privatizing some healthcare can come with serious costs for patients. It's happening as we're seeing more services pushed into private spaces here in Canada. Christine Burak breaks down what the study found.
We all need health care, and governments are increasingly paying private for-profit companies to deliver parts of it, not just in Canada, but in countries around the world.
I would be concerned that it will come at the cost of the quality of the healthcare they receive.
A newly published review from Oxford University examined the effect of healthcare privatization on the quality of care. It analyzed 13 studies from 8 countries, including Canada, Sweden, South Korea, and the U.S. While rare in Canada, researchers found hospitals converting from public to private ownership tended to make higher profits, primarily through treating healthier patients and reducing staff. Researchers also found, while they didn't directly follow patients, privatization in larger areas or regions frequently corresponded with worse health outcomes for patients.
So there's a little bit of cherry picking going on there.
This Canadian doctor argues the review includes too many U.S. studies. He says more for-profit care will increase access.
We're trying to say, how do we reduce wait times? We've really never had a problem with quality of care in terms in our hospitals.
This economist says the Oxford review backs up what many experts understand.
They say it out loud. They say the quiet part out loud. You can't be a for-profit service provider without putting profit first.
Cutting staff, lowering pay, picking profitable patients makes money.
If you think your government is going to get a better deal by creating for-profit incentives or paying for-profit providers through public funds, you're going to get worse care and worse jobs.
With several provinces pushing for more private for-profit care, Oxford researchers say this could be an important time that decides what the future of healthcare in Canada looks like. Christine Burak, CBC News, Toronto.
Former Prime Minister Brian Mulroney has died. Mulroney's party swept to power in 1984 in an election that saw his progressive Conservatives break through the Liberals' Quebec stronghold. He was re-elected in 1988, campaigning on a free trade deal with the United States. He served as Canada's 18th Prime Minister until 1993. Mulroney had been recovering last year from a heart procedure and treatment for prostate cancer. A statement from his daughter says he died peacefully, surrounded by his family. Mulroney was 84 years old. Yukon officials say they have a 3-year plan for remediating MTO Mine. The copper, gold, and silver mine was abandoned last spring and has been in the Yukon government's care ever since. The plan includes water treatment and destroying 76,000 kilos of explosives which have expired. Assistant Deputy Minister Stephen Mead says there is still a buyer interested in the mine and that if the sale goes through, it will not impact remediation.
Metals Corporation holds more claims than just the ones you can see on that map that they didn't mine. So there was deposits, there was reserves in front of them that they didn't get to. So if a company came in, their ability to get into a mining position is going to take some time if they're interested in trying to develop those undeveloped areas.
Site remediation has already cost $20 million. Another $24 million is budgeted for next year. That money is coming out of the mine company's security bond. In the Northwest Territories, the government says climate action is saving Northerners, businesses, and the government millions of dollars on diesel. That's based on data in the Territory's recent Energy Initiatives report. The report says projects aimed at reducing emissions were forecast to offset 8.4 million litres of diesel last year. That would have cost more than $12 million.
This also gives you an indication that we could do way more and save way more, by reducing how much fuel we buy, how much diesel we buy, especially from the south, and start reducing emission at the same time.
Now, those savings do come at a cost. The Territory saying it spent $27 million on energy project in the last fiscal year. Israel says the bulk of that funding comes from the federal government. The NWT is currently on track to hit its 2030 climate target, not because of policies, but because the Diavik diamond mine is set to close by then. The widow of a Mountie murdered in Hay River in 2007 has written a book about her experience. Jody Balcom put pen to paper after their daughter Alexis started looking for answers about her father, Constable Christopher Warden. Balcom says revisiting the time he was killed was cathartic and says looking at old journals and mementos brought her some relief. Now she's hoping her book will help others who are grieving.
I had put a lot of expectation on myself to keep Chris's memory alive. And I say that Chris's family is very much an active part of our life, but when it came to the day-to-day with me and Alexis, I felt like I was the one-person show to do that. And it was through looking through all of these things and realizing all of the support that there was for me then and continue to be now, that I didn't have to carry that on my own anymore. And so allowing, and as Alexis getting older and able to engage with new people in new ways, that of a 16, 17-year-old, and having the mind in order to be able to do that and receive information, I was able to kind of allow myself permission to let her go seek out the facts where she wanted to find them. People are supporting others who are grieving. It's knowing that the person who's experienced the loss is the one in charge of how your interactions go and what you may want for support. If you think about your situation or if you've been in it before, it may not be what this person needs. And to give grace and compassion to the person who's grieving and not put on any judgment or expectation about where they should be or what timeline they should meet or things of that nature.
Balcom's book is called Choosing My Tomorrow. It launches in Yellowknife Saturday afternoon at the Copper House restaurant.
When my grandfather, Charlie Chaplin, first arrived in Hollywood, it was a place of dreams. But my grandfather clashed with some very powerful forces in America.
Are you a member of the Communist Party? Stand away from the stand!
I'm Una Chaplin. This is Hollywood Exiles. It's about a war of ideas that tore apart friendships, ended careers, and affected families like mine.
Hollywood Exiles, available now on CBC Listen or wherever you get your podcasts.
Does public transit really need more police officers? And so this is it.
Welcome to the Greenbelt.
It is now believed that Titan was destroyed.
It makes sense that they get a larger share, or does it?
All of this, just single detached homes.
Yes.
What do we know? How is that even possible? Well, with a little bit of help, I think we can explain it.
About that with Andrew Chang. Watch free on CBC Gem.
We carry a world of information in our pockets because we want to know. Breaking news that shapes your world.
All right.
Reporting from the scene onto your screens.
It goes on like this and on and on and on and on.
It's news you can trust, delivered when you want, where you want. On Canada's News app. Download the free CBC News app.
Bad hair days. We all have them.
Even as scientists.
I think I know my place. It's not making art.
What?
This is a whale?
That's incredible.
I'm piloting a boat in the fjords of Norway. I love this job.
You never listen to me.
You never think things through.
Your honeymoon phase is officially over. We never had a honeymoon phase.
You really gonna make me say it?
Oh, yeah.
Fine. I need you, Max.
So much drama. I love it. You ever get tired of that? Stop it. Get tired of that.
Well, today is February 29th, a day that only happens every 4 years. And if you're one of the millions of Canadians earning a fixed annual salary, you're likely not getting paid for the extra day of work during leap years. The average salaried worker may be losing out on hundreds of dollars, while employers collectively save billions. Philippe de Montigny reports.
In the heart of Toronto's financial district, many who earn a yearly salary are not too happy to find out they aren't getting paid for the extra day of work during leap years.
I think it's pretty brutal. I know for myself, if I'm working, I want to be paid.
Like, you still have your expenses for that day. I think we should be compensated.
Some argue it's a give and take. Being salaried comes with other benefits and more flexibility.
I'm not necessarily a 9-to-5 kind of gal, even if that's what my contract says. The reality is I'm expected to yield a certain amount of work, and that's what I'm getting paid to do.
It's a quarter of a day every 4 years, so that doesn't really kind of move that bottom line for me a whole lot.
But for some, it can add up to hundreds of dollars. Crunching the latest figures from Statistics Canada, the average salaried worker is losing out on $351 for a typical 8-hour day. And with more than 6.5 million people earning a fixed annual salary, about a third of Canada's workforce, employers collectively save more than $2 billion.
We use the term wage theft because it is a form of theft that workers are experiencing.
And it's a much broader issue the Workers' Action Centre is looking to tackle, from unpaid public holidays and overtime to withheld employee benefits.
This is a real crisis in Canada, and people are feeling it more because every dollar counts when the cost of living is as high as it is now.
People who receive annual salary will usually spend more hours of work in a year than what they're actually paid for. It's kind of expected from them. It's included in their salary.
Some contracts include pay for leap days, but it's still pretty uncommon. It's ultimately up to employers, and currently no law forces them to do so. Philippe de Montigny, CBC News, Toronto.
Racers in Labrador are gearing up for next week's Canes Quest. 35 snowmobile teams will set out to cover more than 3,000 kilometers. The CBC's Alex Kennedy met up with one of this year's youngest racers who got in just under the wire.
Caleb Cousins won't be in a classroom next week.
Instead, he'll be sitting on a snowmobile, racing through the Labrador wilderness. He turned 18 1 month ago, making him just old enough to register for Cane's Quest. It usually takes months of preparation to get ready for this race, but Caleb has only had a week.
Really nervous, really, because there's a lot of things that could go wrong, but there's a lot of things that could go right, and it's a really dangerous thing to do.
But Cousin's teammate Colin Vardy has been around Cane's Quest for years and saw 2024 as his chance to finally cross it off his bucket list. When Vardy's first teammate fell through, he didn't have to look far for a substitute. The teenager works in the parts department of Vardy's industrial shop.
I think this kid is onto something. He just turned 18 years old. He's very capable from what I've seen so far. I guess next week we'll give the ultimate test. I have to make sure that I'm not bringing him home injured or in a wheelchair or in a body bag. So we're going to take our time.
There's a 3,500-kilometer journey ahead of the pair, and Cousin says he's eager to see how far they can go. And while there's potential danger around every turn, the young racer can't wait to see the big land like he's never seen it before.
It's really special, just not being from here, never really growing up on skidoos really, and just coming here. Now I'm doing one of the biggest skidooing races in the country. So.
Well, that was Alex Kennedy reporting, and Caleb hopes that his story will inspire other young people to sign up for future races. We have more entries for you tonight from the Tusavik Anuvia Lukdun radio contest. This is the 4th year it's been held, and it just keeps growing and growing. The contest is all about having fun and celebrating the language. Radio host Dodi Melagana says everyone was so creative, whether they were singing, reading, speaking, or acting out a skit. Check it out.
My name is Letty, and I'm 7 years old, and I'm going to be talking in a mountain.
Hi, I'm Bristol, and my last name is Kasuk, and I'm 6 years old, and I'm talking Cochin.
First up is sun, hikanek.
Tree.
Next up
is shoes. High tree.
Gamak. Next up is cold. Kikarok.
Unico.
Next up is yellow.
Gigi soul.
Kukodak. Next up is counting to 5. Adalhek, Malok, Pingohot, Hihamat, Talima. Bristol.
It's like make a take down. It's gonna.
Bye.
Adalhek, Malok, Pingohot, Anaklik, Hihamat, Talimat, Itzakratidalik. Dalimat malarok, dalimat pingahot, kulinaro dailak, kulit hirak.
Asi nakuyuk anak tiga keket pak nangin aku kioriak anak tiga sivik duyu adu neduk sekenalik duk silagik duk sekenalik duk asi
Well, those are just a few of the entries from this year's contest, and we'll have more for you on tomorrow's show. Well, that is Northbeat for tonight. For news anytime, you can always visit our website, cbc.ca/north. Thank you for watching. I'm Shannon Scott. Have a great night.
Nineteen 40 dalawam 50 saling urak luang kalok tungan kemak tualu lakalawam pilaktok talo ama wakalaw alok sumatan sibulak pak pilaktok tao ama pilakta si malak sumagilak tawlok sumagama.
My name is Amanda Paris, and I am constantly thinking about culture, race, and social issues. So I want to push these conversations forward.
We found that there was animal meat fat in plastic synthetic hair.
There was a time where I'm like, should I have kids because the kids are going to be black?
I've been fired from my dream job. What's the worst that can happen now?
Now is the time to take the group chat to the real world. A 6-part series. This is For the Culture.
Watch free on CBC Gem.
How can any of this be fair?
Now you might think, hey, we just need more doctors, but that's not really it.
A Russian scheme here
shows you where it starts, where it ends.
Were you really willing to risk that job? Yes.
At Thunder Bay's favorite festival, Wake the Giant.
Ta-da! There it is.
Hey, you're some friends, aren't you? Stand here and now you try and blackmail her. You disgust me. Every one of you.
Coronation Street. Watch free on CBC Gem.
We've won the costume contest every year.
Bunny!
Oh, they're squishing me. What have we done?
Nothing's more fun than winning! Oh!
That's a fact.
Drum circles are fun too.
That's also a fact.
Yeah!
You know what else is a fact? I have the best damn team in the world.
Friggin' frig off.
What deal?
What in the flying friggity frig was that all about?
That was hilarious.
It's just a bit of fun.
Son of a Critch. Watch free on CBC Gem.
Being Black in Canada, a space for news, documentaries, arts, and more. Celebrating Black people and their stories. Find everything from interviews, insights, Black culture, and conversations. Visit cbc.ca/Being Black in Canada.
Whoa, what is this?
Crazy things have been happening.
Ghosting.
Ghosting. Watch free on CBC Gem.
You can be this happy too with endless TV shows, movies, and more.
Watch CBC News Explore 24 hours a day for free.